Can we all just take a moment to acknowledge how good of a wife Videl is, how good of a person she is, and how lucky Gohan is to have her? What I saw in this episode made me respect Videl's character way more than ever. I already like Videl's character. I like Pan, I like Gohan, I like the little family relationship that's going on right now in Dragon Ball Super. And just seeing how Videl was supportive of Gohan, she stayed up all night waiting for him, didn't act mean or hateful at all, she was understanding, and then when someone tried to frame Gohan and make him look like shit, Videl said, Gohan's not like that. He is someone and has his reasons. He's someone that wouldn't do something like that to betray me. Videl acting like that was just such a good moment for me, just to see, that I truly have to say that I'm glad this episode was made. I know many are going to write this episode off and write this little Saiyaman arc off and saying it's complete shit. I talked about it quite a bit in my last episode review, but honestly, I'm glad this was made. I'm glad I got to see this episode. I'm glad I got to see that relationship between Gohan and Videl in this episode. And I mean, like I said, I know many might not give a shit about it. I know many might not care about Great Saiyaman. I know many people might not like Gohan anymore because of how he's been displayed in Dragon Ball Super and also in the Buu Saga. Just, I know how many, might not like him anymore. But however, I am happy with this episode. And even though a lot of this episode you could consider filler, maybe comedy and all that, it was still a great episode just to see Gohan and his family. Just seeing this characterization / development of Gohan's family he has now. So, I will say that even though I've seen better episodes from Super already, this is definitely one of my personal favorites, just because of what it stood for, and just what type of respect I gained for Videl. Now, Gohan, too, as a father, I liked Gohan standing up and fighting, and he didn't want to lose in front of his daughter or Videl, and how Videl even stated that she won't do the same. She will not cry or show, like, an outburst of sadness in front of Pan. She'll be a very good mother. I love the way they're trying to raise Pan, the way they're showing Pan that, your papa can never, fail, he's invincible, but on top of that, Videl, she's trying to show that you need to be strong, don't, let your emotions get to you. It's such a great scene, just seeing how Videl states this and how they're trying to raise Pan. Like I said, I know many might not give a shit at all about this, but I respect stuff like this. I respect seeing arcs like this in Dragon Ball or any type of series, and seeing something like this happen in a shonen of all things, I'm proud to say I am watching Dragon Ball Super. Now, in terms of the fighting that we got in this episode, the fighting wasn't honestly the best. I'm just gonna be point blank. It wasn't. It definitely wasn't the best fight ever of Dragon Ball Super or Z or anything. But I mean, it was enjoyable enough, and that wasn't what the real point of the episode was. At the end of the day, the main point of this episode was just a relationship between Gohan and his family. It wasn't really the fighting. That was the main point of this arc. That was kind of like the little cherry on top for the episode, and there wasn't a whole lot of focus on it. And I do like how, even though Gohan has constantly been made fun of by, close family members, like how maybe his costume is lame, how, he is looking like the Great Saiyaman, I mean, like, that's lame, that's stupid, and then many people also made fun of him. I like how everybody goes to see his movie, and they actually show some respect to the Great Saiyaman, and they like him at the end of the episode. And I mean, even seeing, how Chi-Chi, she actually liked Gohan's movie, and she's one that's always been dead set against, Gohan fighting and stuff, and how he's actually in, like, an action movie and all that. She seemed really excited, but Goku, this is a man that really loves fighting. He loves seeing martial arts and stuff. He goes and watches the movie and he passes out, which is freaking hilarious, because it's kind of like this. In a standard situation, usually it would be the girl taking a guy to go watch, let's say, a shoujo romance movie or something, and then the guy would be very bored or he might pass out. But in this case, it was the exact opposite. It was like a big fighting type freaking, movie. Goku should have been excited, but he wasn't. He didn't even give a shit. He's like, I got tired. I like doing it instead of watching it. And then Chi-Chi's getting all excited. I'm like, yo, I love that scene. I love the contrast of how Goku passes out to action films instead of actually passing out to maybe some, like, slice life romance type stuff. It's pretty funny. Now, I know many might not care about that either, but I find that, pretty entertaining. So overall, this episode of Dragon Ball Super, I know it's not the best written, and I know it's not the greatest in terms of art, animation, or even music direction, but it's one of those type of episodes that I just personally enjoyed and I cherish. And it's like, how there's some filler episodes in Dragon Ball Z I enjoyed. Like, the famous racing episode of Dragon Ball Z when you see, how Goku and Piccolo is trying to get their driver's license. That was funny as fuck, and I had a lot of fun watching that when I was a kid. And I know it's filler and all that, and it's just stuff like that I can really enjoy. Just seeing the characters out of their natural environment, or just seeing this characterization behind the scenes and stuff. And so, yeah, and that's how I kind of feel about this. That's how I personally feel about this arc. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about, this new episode of Dragon Ball Super? Did you enjoy what we got to see from Gohan's family? How did you feel about Videl and what she did for Gohan? How do you feel about Pan? How do you feel about the action scenes we saw throughout this episode? Please honestly let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.